Hi there, this is Tara. You're probably thinking about buying that new iPhone, aren't you? Wait a minute. I'm not saying you should, and I'm not saying you shouldn't. However, I would like you to understand the ways in which you're making that decision and the ways in which the market is probably manipulating you into making that decision. First of all, Amos Tversky and Daniel Kahneman, two psychologists, introduced us to the concept of heuristics a couple of decades ago. Heuristics are mental shortcuts, and these can facilitate problem solving and decision making. So the three that we heuristics are of many kinds. They're the basis by which the factors that influence our problem solving decision making. Three key ones kind of are common and what we base our thinking on. These are anchoring, what we correlate as the base requirement. Availability, is it frequently around you? And representativeness, what does it represent to you, right? So, anchoring, let's consider an example for anchoring. You anchor the concept of sleep to bed, right? Now, when you get on a flight, you feel no matter, maybe there isn't somebody behind you and you're able to push your like seat rest back all the way down, it's still a chair. And so you do have this feeling of, I haven't slept because how can I sleep in a chair? Why? Because sleep, the concept of sleep is anchored into bed, right? Which is why then the flight is able to sell you the business class seats or the first class seats at a premium because that fits in with your anchoring. And because there's a gap in that anchoring, you're making what is called a comparison. Our brain is constantly searching for these comparisons. So we look for something and correlate it to our anchoring concept. So you're looking at your coach class seats or your economy class seats, and you're saying, "This is a chair. A chair does not give me sleep." And then you look at your business class and your first class, and you say, "This is a bed. A bed gives me sleep." So therefore, it seems worth it to pay the gap, pay the difference at a huge premium and get a bed which correlates with sleep. Availability, it's around you, people are accessing it. You can see that. And that also gives you the anchoring gap because it says they're accessing it, why can't I? And then there's representativeness. What does it represent to you to be able to fly first class or business class? Typically, it represents that, I've arrived. I have excess money. I have disposable income. I'm making enough for the amount that I work. I can afford luxuries. I am therefore successful. So, to understand the way in which we make decisions in the world, our brains seek out these patterns and anchors serve as reference points. So, when we make these comparisons and we look at availability, we look at representativeness, typically we'll make an impulsive decision. And companies and corporations know this, which is why heuristics are used in design. So, for instance, the company will never completely redesign the iPhone for you or any phone for that matter. It will be more or less, um, uh, around surrounding, matching to your baseline because the anchoring is important, but there will be differences so that a comparison can be made, right? Do you see how this works? So they'll take your original phone design and maybe they'll tweak the size, they'll tweak some buttons, they'll tweak some features. So now what you have is outdated, and what is there is the better version, right? It's available. It's the latest trend. There's advertising everywhere. The most successful people around you have it, so it becomes representative. The successful people have it, the cool people have it, the trendy people have it, the elite people have it. And therefore, if you use the anchoring, you see the availability and you want to access the representativeness, you make an impulse decision, right? You understand how that works? So Tversky Kahneman also realized that people do not actually think in terms of absolute value when they make a decision. If you're making a completely rational decision, and I'm sure you've probably are capable of, you've either drawn it out or are capable of drawing out a list of the reasons why you think you should have this new phone. And they might be perfectly valid reasons. However, if you are making a perfectly rational decision, you would not need to respond to what is called as framing. Framing is how something is pitched to you. Okay, so let me give you an example. Let's say you genuinely need a new car, right? Your old car is all run down, breaking down, too expensive to repair. You need to get to work. Or maybe you have an expanded family now and you want a car that will fit your two kids, help you take them to school, all their, footballs, cricket gear, classes, and maybe also you want to take some road trips with space for luggage in the back and the family dog or whatever it is. So you already have a list of needs. So now you're not really going to be swayed by the way in which that something is pitched to you. You're going to go to the car dealer and say, this is what I need. And what do you have that will fit my need? So that is a rational decision. However, if you're responding to framing, you're probably going to make a decision based on expected utility, but also on loss aversion, right? And what is loss aversion? People tend to pick something where, they won't lose. So if you have pegged your new phone to a bracket of society, a sort of designation, an image of success, you don't want to lose out on it. And therefore, you will make that impulse decision. How do you counter this? Well, it's good to kind of go to a sort of minimalistic approach. Here are 10 ways you can counter it. Make a commitment to yourself. Maybe you can say, I'm not going to buy a new phone until this one dies, or you don't need to be so extreme. Each phone I buy has to last at least 2 years or 3 years, and then you can stick to that. Second is have a principle of contentment. The higher your contentment, the less likely you are to make impulse decisions and make comparisons, and therefore your anchor line is not going to get disrupted too much. Third is ask yourself the right questions. What do you need it for? Do you need it right now? Can it wait? Fourth, pause. Put the choice on hold until you absolutely can't do without it. Fifth, detach your self-worth from the things that you own. Sixth, don't exchange experiences for things. Seventh, have a sense of intentionality. Be very, very conscious about the decisions that you're making. Eighth, quantity over quality. Ninth, value stuff, time, and attention that you have. If you have extremely high value stuff, if your time is very valuable, if your attention is very valuable, you're going to distribute them among fewer things. And last of all, don't be manipulated by market forces and by companies, by algorithms. Don't become a puppet to the system. So I hope these help you make the right decision for you. And then let me know in the comments below whether this has been helpful. Thank you for listening.